Hello S3, welcome to our first lesson on media analysis, and in particular we're focusing on poster and trailers and comparing the two. Right, what are we going to do then? Well, this is actually a type of RUI, just using a different medium basically than what we've used in the past. This week we're going to look at posted advertisements, we're going to focus on audience and purpose, form and layout. And later on this week we will look at poster analysis and the use of colour and images. The following week, the 25th of January, we will look at colour and image again, just to refresh your mind, and then we will focus on persuasive language, which is something you've looked at before going on to thinking about group discussion skills, because as you know, we are going to work up to using Teams potentially to do our group discussions. The first week in February, we're then going to focus on film trailers and thinking about camera shots and angles. Now, a lot of you have already looked at this before, so hopefully this should just refresh your knowledge and maybe add a bit more detail there. Then we're moving on to soundtrack and sound effects, before finally looking at audience and purpose of a trailer, and then the 3 S's and the 3 C's, and then looking at group discussion teams and prepare for the discussion assessment, whether that's in school hopefully or over Teams. So what can you achieve then? Well, I'm about to show you a list, but it's not exhaustive. There are many other benchmarks you should be able to tick after doing these tasks. So you're going to comment with evidence on the content and form of short texts. You'll be able to identify and comment on the features appropriate to genre using relevant evidence. You'll definitely be able to compare and contrast different types of text and adopt and sustain an appropriate register during a group discussion, while you engage with others and make a relevant contribution. So if you look at this picture just now, it's of a poster and you can see the level of detailed analysis that is on there, and eventually we should be able to do the same thing. We're going to start then by looking at analysing audience and purpose. Now you've done this before when we've looked at paragraphs and what audience and purpose they belong to, but we're just looking, as I say, at a different genre of writing now. We're going to identify a purpose first of all. So basically, what are the reasons for creating an advert? We're specifically going to focus on adverts, okay? Well, the main reasons would be to sell a product, to sell a service, to promote an event, to raise awareness of something, to inform the public. So if you were selling a product, you might be selling some clothes or perfume, something like that. Selling a service, maybe you are selling your, for instance, a hairdressing, hairdressers might have a poster with all their different services on it, for example. Promote an event, so it might be to show the next big musical or music festival or something like that. To raise awareness of something, so this might be a public health poster. Think of all the posters right now everywhere about COVID. Or posters maybe to do with gambling or alcoholism, or to raise awareness of a particular group, perhaps like a support group that you might want to go to. And to inform the public. So again, there might be posters out there with very specific information that people need to know. So those are the different purposes you might have, and remember that quite often purposes might overlap and they might not be super straightforward. The main thing in English, which is always why English is such a difficult skill to master, but a really good one that you can use for loads of other subjects, is that it's about how you show that you've understood that purpose. So whatever purpose you give, as long as it's not completely incorrect and you have a sensible reason, then you should still get the mark. Unlike the previous lessons, everything is going to be in OneNote. So you're going to see a very similar looking set of slides in your OneNote, and you should be able to type over them. So our first task then is to look at these posters, and beside each one, I just want you to write the purpose of the advert. So is it trying to sell a product? Is it trying to promote an event, inform the public, promote something, whatever it is, okay? So that's all I need you to do is just write down the purpose of the advert. So pause the video now and do that in the OneNote page that has been assigned to you through the Teams assignment. On you go. Right, but obviously, as I said to you before, that's not good enough. You've also got to explain how you know. So you're going to get another slide, and this time, beside instead of beside each purpose, it should just say beside each poster. You could then write down, how do you know it's that purpose? Or if you want to, you can go back to the previous slide that you were working on and just write your reasons underneath. Remember that I will be on the call so we can talk about this as a class as well, if you would prefer, before you do this. On you go. Now, not all posters are successful and some don't always meet their own purpose. This is a poster that was brought out in Singapore. And if you see that it says, I hope Germany wins, my dad bet all my savings on them. So it was an anti-gambling campaign in Singapore, and it was used to try and show the dangers of gambling. So that was the purpose of the poster, it was to show you what could happen if you put all your savings onto something. The problem with this poster was it took place in the 2014 World Cup. What we'd like you to do is go to your OneNote and explain why that was an issue. So they were trying to show the dangers of gambling, the dangers of putting all your money on Germany in the 2014 World Cup. So if you can put at the bottom just a quick sentence, bullet point. The other thing you can do if you want is leave a voice note. If you would prefer that would be absolutely fine. So we've looked at purpose. Now we're going to focus on audience. Who is the poster aimed at? Now, when we try and work out an audience, there's a few things to keep in mind, especially for advertising. So they might be aimed at a particular gender, typically male or female, a particular age group, maybe people from a certain race or ethnicity, people with certain roles in life. Now, they could be roles in the work or maybe in the home, people with certain interests or hobbies, from different social classes, or something they do. So for example, an anti-smoking campaign is not really aimed at people that don't smoke. Now, advertisers don't always get the audience right. So I want you to look at these two problematic posters. Okay? So I want you to note down what the problem might be with these posters. Again, you could just leave a voice note if you want. And here's something to think about, and it might be something that we talk about when we do some group discussions. According to a company called Kantar, this was in 2018, and they did some research into gender roles in marketing, and they found that 98% of people targeted for adverts for baby, laundry and household cleaning products were women. What I want you to think about, and again we might talk about this in class, is, do you think that's what the public want? Are we still there where we think that all of these things are just for women? Or do we think maybe the people in marketing might have got that wrong? So have just a wee think about that, and hopefully we can talk about it as well as a class. So what I want you to do now is, underneath these posters, write down what you think or who you think the target audience is, and the reason for your answer. So who are these posters aimed at? And remember, the groups can also overlap, just like the purposes, but make sure you have a reason. So if you say an advert is targeted at adults, why do you say that? If you think it's targeted at people who really enjoy donuts, why would you say that? Or people who love to climb hills, why would you say that? Right, so the next thing we're going to do is look at form and layout of posters and thinking about the style. So if you were doing normal way, where you have your passage, then audience and purpose would be part of understanding, and then style would basically be part of the analysis bit of Ruby. So let's think about form and layout, and I know you've done lots of this in other subjects, okay? So we're going to keep it simple for English because we're just analysing it for a different purpose. If you think about a grid like this, the grid in the middle, the red grid, would be where the main image should be. Okay, it's where the advertisers want you to look first. Okay, and then if they were to put the image going maybe on the yellow boxes that are above and below, that's probably because they want your eyes to go up and down. Okay, If they put them in the yellow boxes on the left and the right, it's probably because they want your eyes to go from left to right. So if you look at this poster here, have a think about what the main image is and in what direction would your eyes be going? Would it be going up and down or left to right? That's a really, really basic way of thinking about how to design a poster to advertise something. But of course, designers play with the standard rules. So in the next few slides, you're going to get a picture of a poster that was advertising something. And I want you to think about maybe the main image that you notice and how are you drawn to it. So if it's a product, how are you drawn to it? So have a wee look through each of these in your OneNote. And remember to write down how you are drawn to something. Is it because it takes centre stage, or is it because there's maybe a line that takes you somewhere? Whatever it is, all ideas are valid as long as you can support what you're saying. So what have we covered then today? Well, we've looked at the purpose and the audience of an advert. We've also looked at form and structure. Next lesson, we're going to look at use of colour and images. Bye for now.